Once upon a time, lost to history, there lived a mortal man called Vecna. He studied the arts of magecraft and eventually became the most accomplished and powerful wizard of all times and spaces. Cut down by a betrayer, he rose again and fused with dark secrets and transcended, becoming a demigod. Vecna laid traps, tricks, and plans that were designed to transform him into a true god, perhaps the most powerful deity. However, the demigod was snatched away from his quest and caged in a misty realm. This kept him sidetracked for a time. However, Vecna is nothing if tenacious, and the misty realm could not hold him forever. Vecna now has a plan to become a major deity. If he is successful, the balance of the multiverse could come undone. Destroyed by Vecna, transfigured. Hello everybody, Jordan here, the PH is silent, and welcome to the third and possibly final Vecna video. If you're new here, I'd check the link down below to watch the first two Vecna videos. Not mandatory, but you might find the whole subject interesting. In this video, I'll be discussing the AD&D adventure Die Vecna Die, released in 2000. Please be aware that I've heard all of the German jokes about this, where Die Vecna Die translates to the Vecna, the. And how could we forget that hilarious episode of Sideshow Bob pointing out his multicultural background with his Die Bart Die tattoo? This adventure finishes up the Vecna Trilogy. Question 1 though, how the hell did Vecna get out of the Domains of Dread? Well, Vecna is smart and tricky, and while on Greyhawk, he planted numerous ways for his return. Shortly before becoming trapped in the Domains of Dread, he fabricated 2 tablets that were inscribed with a powerful 10th level spell written in the language Primeval. He buried them in a plausible archaeological site, knowing someone would locate them at some point. Now, the language Primeval is a magical grammar that was spoken by mythical and unheard of races. Vecna was gifted this magical language by the Serpent, a dark creature that seems to have a vested interest in Vecna and his plans. Going forward in this video, I'll be discussing in detail this adventure, Die Vecna Die. If you're not interested in spoilers, I'll put a timestamp where you can see my final thoughts on Vecna and the artifacts of Vecna, but back to magical Primeval Tablets. The tablets were hidden from divination magic and quietly waited. Out of sight from gods and powerful wizards, they were aimed at a handful of demi-powers in Greyhawk that met Vecna's criteria. If found, the tablets hinted that they offered transcendental power. The tablets were eventually discovered, and word of their magic got around Greyhawk. No one could translate them or really discern their purpose, which was intentional by Vecna. The demi-power Ayuz ended up taking the bait. Ayuz was the son of Igwilv, aka Tasha from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and Ayuz became a demigod through some terrible acts and wanted more power. He saw the tablets as a way of gaining this. The more Ayuz researched the tablets, the more it seemed like this ancient magic was the path to full ascension and godhood. However, the tablets lied. They promised that one strong enough would be able to absorb a demi-power into their body and ascend to full godhood. However, it is Vecna that will pull you into his body, breaking him free from the confines of the Domains of Dread. You, the party, hear that Ayuz is up to no good and start investigating him. This brings you to the Navel of Earth, a Stonehenge place that was the location for earlier confrontations with Vecna in Vecna Lives. This Stonehenge is known as Tovag Baragu, which is not related to Kaz's Domain of Dread. These stones offer a teleportation network between space and worlds. The whole area is filled with vile beasts, cult of Vecna members, and servants of Ayuz. None of this seems normal. Catching up with Ayuz, he's jumped through a portal, and if you follow, the PCs wind up in Citadel Covidius, Vecna's prison in the Domains of Dread. The Domain of Dread is detailed more in the Ravenloft campaign setting, specifically this book, Domains of Dread. Arriving in an ashen waste, the crux of this adventure takes place in Citadel Covidius, which is right in front of the PCs. There are some interesting magical problems within this demiplane, such as healing magic working less than normal, and necromantic magic working at double capacity. If you summon a creature to this plane, the creature instantly turns on you, angry that you have now also trapped it with you in this Domain of Dread. The players must infiltrate Citadel Covidius, a large skull-like structure that houses 10,000 people. A city, really, and all of whom are devoted to Vecna. Somewhere inside is Vecna himself, and Ayuz, under the misinformation of the tablets, seeks him out. Most of this section of the adventure is a dungeon crawl through the Citadel. You'll run into some interesting monsters and a lot of vampires. Like, more vampires than are really necessary, but how many are necessary? I guess it depends on the adventure. Well, this is Ravenloft. Maybe it's an appropriate amount of vampires. Deep Thoughts with Jordan. As your players run around, they might discover that there are some sort of cast forgeries going around. Perhaps they themselves have a forgery if they own the item. They soon discover that to destroy Vecna, they will need a piece of Vecna, either his hand or eye, and the real Sword of Cass, which is located here in the Citadel. If you're attuned to the hand of Vecna and wield the Sword of Cass, this combination can destroy the demigod Vecna. The adventure tries really hard to allow Vecna to get to the third act, which is his greater deity status. However, it is possible that you could stop Vecna within his domain of dread. Ayuz rushes up to Vecna with hate in his eyes. He assaults Vecna with the Sword of Cass. Vecna sits on his spider throne, a hand and eye missing. The sword arcs down onto Vecna's chest and shatters. Ayuz is stunned. The sword was a fake, and Vecna smiles. Ayuz, holding a bladeless hilt, watches Vecna rise to his feet and place his right hand on Ayuz's head. Ayuz screams in pain and suffering as his entire body ignites on fire. The flames, forming a vortex, fly directly into Vecna's empty eye socket. He's absorbing the demigod Ayuz into his body. The PCs can try and stop this, and many of the NPCs and monsters in the room beg them to. Once Ayuz is fully consumed, Vecna forms a ghostly hand on his left wrist stump. His eyes glow red with power, and his rotting form is transfigured into a dark-haired, handsome man. Absorbing Ayuz has transformed him into a powerful deity, and using his new powers, Vecna folds space. The domain of dread can no longer hold him. A large pit envelops Vecna and the party as Vecna says, "The godlings who played at rulership here will trouble me no more. It has always been my destiny to be the master of all that is, was, or will be." The PCs fall into an unending abyss, and Vecna vanishes. Vecna has triumphed. Falling for what seems like days, the PCs hit hard and fast as the world materializes around them. A large city that wraps itself up around the sky like the inside of a giant tube. Congratulations, you're in Sigil, City of Doors. I've spoken about Sigil in past videos that I'll link here, but it's the central hub of the multiverse, and especially important in the Planescape campaign setting. Sigil is the most neutral plane where angels and devils can sit down and have a drink together. Deities and archfiends are prevented from entering Sigil, and the whole plane is protected by its silent ruler, the Lady of Pain. No deity or archfiend questions her power, and none enter the city because they have no path to. The Lady of Pain controls all portals in and out of the city. That is, until Vecna. Magically, no one is sure how Vecna was able to enter Sigil, but the thought is that Vecna cheated. Not quite a deity yet, and using the mysterious powers of the domains of dread, he found his own way into Sigil. Once inside, his ascension manifested, and he became a greater deity, the first deity to walk through the City of Doors. The Lady of Pain seems aware that Vecna is in Sigil, but also seems not to care and has made no action against him. The PCs arrive 3d4 days after Vecna does. Vecna isn't all-powerful in Sigil, though. For one, he is trapped, unable to find a portal that allows him to leave. Secondly, it takes an exorbitant amount of power to withstand the pressure the Lady of Pain applies to his presence. The pressure is a hideous agony, which Vecna neutralizes with his own godly powers. And finally, Vecna can't summon minions to assist him, because the Lady of Pain controls all doors in Sigil. So why come here, right? I mean, Vecna could have gone anywhere. It's all part of the plan Vecna has put in motion centuries ago, and he's here for a very specific reason. The Celestial Ring beneath the city of Sigil is a physical manifestation of the multiverse's fulcrum. If the multiverse exists in a great wheel, the hub is the spire and city of Sigil. Potentially, if a god or archfiend was in Sigil, they could access the fulcrum and tip the balance of power. This has never happened because of the Lady of Pain's existence, but all the planes could be thrown into ruin. The planes with their deities could be destroyed or lost, setting Vecna up to become the supreme deity of the new multiversal order. Vecna has built himself a fortress within Sigil thanks to some cultists. An army, including the Lady of Pain, waits outside, knowing that the multiverse is in danger. The PCs must storm the fortress and stop Vecna. Inside, they'll find plenty of foes to fight as they make their way to a Temple of Vecna. There are two creatures here called the Eye and Hand Servitor, who have a giant eye for a head and a hand for a head, and they wait to praise Vecna. I just thought they were cool. A Cambion who is loyal to Vecna is giving a sermon in this temple, and as the PCs watch, the wall distorts and Vecna appears. The final battle ensues. Vecna can be hurt by one who has the eye or hand of Vecna and the true Sword of Cass, either received from the last adventure or another adventure altogether. Now, Vecna's powers are weaker because of the Lady of Pain's influence, and it is possible to stop Vecna as the mere mortals you are playing. With the Sword of Cass, you strike him down. When Vecna is at 0 HP, a black hole opens and pulls him out of Sigil before he can finish his last sentence. Congratulations, with Vecna gone, the Lady of Pain uses her influence to melt the fortress away. The multiverse returns to normal, it is saved, and the Lady of Pain corrects the wards so no deity may cheat their way into Sigil again. However, Vecna is still out there, as a deity, but doesn't seem to go after you. Perhaps the Lady of Pain has put a blessing on you, a protection. Vecna is a really great villain and an iconic D&D character. These 3 adventures were a lot of fun to read, and I hope they inspire you with your games. Vecna was a core deity for the 4th edition campaign setting, the god of undead, necromancy, and secrets. And of course, a deity in the world of Greyhawk and Critical Role. The artifacts, the hand and eye of Vecna, are very strong, but deadly. They give the user random beneficial and detrimental properties that can drastically change your character. With regeneration, X-ray vision, and the ability to turn a creature's skeleton to jelly, plus the wish spell, it can be very tempting to attune to these items. However, if the hand or eye are ever removed from you, you instantly die. No saving throw. Destroying the eye and hand of Vecna is easier in 5e, a contrast to previous editions. With the eye and hand attached to the same creature, you must simply kill that creature using the Sword of Cass. Both eye and hand will burn and turn to ash, destroyed forever. I feel this is a little too easy, but if there are a lot of fake Sword of Casses running around, part of the fun could be finding the real one. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'd love to have you subscribe. Thanks again to my patrons who keep this channel going. If you'd like to become a patron, click the link below. I'm working on some exciting videos coming up, so stay tuned. Share this video with your gaming group, and thanks. Just thanks for being awesome. The channel is growing, and I'm excited to get to 100,000 subscribers. I'll see you all next time.